Hi, I'm Mark Walker. I'm the editorial director at the FinTech Times, and we're here at Abu Dhabi Finance Week on day 2. So first off, I'm going to like to introduce our interviewee. Perhaps you could introduce yourself to the audience.
Absolutely. I'm Matt Hougan. I'm the Chief Investment Officer at Bitwise Asset Management. We're a global crypto asset manager, about $15 billion in assets under management.
Fantastic. Welcome to Abu Dhabi.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So obviously starting off with the fact that we are in Abu Dhabi, what's your kind of take on its role within the digital asset space?
I think it's really an emerging leader in the digital asset space. When you think about digital assets, you have this incredible technology that can move money around the world at the speed of light, move money at very low costs. And it's been searching for areas that provide high quality regulatory clarity. And the UAE specifically has been a leader in that space, recognizing that crypto is a form of finance, regulating it like finance, and providing a good playing field for people to build real businesses. So a lot of us in the crypto community look toward this region as a leader in where crypto is going.
Wonderful. And obviously, give us a little bit of a history of Bitwise and where it sort of came from to give us a bit of context.
Yeah,
where it's got to now.
Absolutely. Bitwise started in 2017, and we were best known then for creating the world's first crypto index fund. So we thought investors around the world wanted to gain exposure to crypto, but they didn't know how to choose between Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, other assets. Why not just make an index fund and invest the same way we do in equities, in bonds, and in other asset categories? So we launched that in 2017. We've grown since then. Today, we're one of the largest ETF and ETP providers in the US and in Europe. We have a large staking business. We have an alpha business that serves the institutional market. We serve thousands of investors around the world, and we're, of course, always looking for places to expand.
Yeah. And give us a little bit of a flavor for how that journey went through. Obviously, started with indexes through to EDFs that everyone's talking about now, but it's quite a painful journey, I would imagine.
It is quite a painful journey. There were two things that were really painful about it. One was convincing our regulators in the US that we could launch safe and secure products. I took, I think, 30 trips to Washington, D.C. I live in California, so that's a long journey, talking to our regulators, trying to convince them that crypto will work in an ETF package. We finally got that through in January of 2024. So a long period of trying to make it in an easy, safe, convenient package. The other journey that was happening, if you go back to 2017, very few institutional investors were allocating to this space. It was mostly a retail phenomenon. And there was a huge educational process with pensions, endowments, insurance funds, financial advisors to bring them along on their journey. We're just now starting to see that class of investors come into the space. You're seeing sovereign wealth funds invest. You're seeing folks like the Harvard University Endowment invest. You're seeing insurance giants invest. So it's in these two slow journeys, but it's been worth it. We're now at the point where it's really accelerating into an important, global, systematically viable asset class.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. When FinTech Times started in 2016, and so we were talking about it back then, but it's kind of felt like it's taken so long and such a struggle to get where we are. But now pace, as you said, really seems to be speeding up. What do you think has been the leader to that? Has it been regulatory clarity or has it been investor appetite?
Yeah, it's been regulatory clarity and technological progress. So everyone talks about regulatory clarity, making sure we could have ETFs, providing a firm ground for stablecoins, providing a firm ground for tokenization. We couldn't penetrate mainstream use cases until we had that degree of regulatory certainty. We're close in many regions. We still have work to do in some others, but we're getting there. The other piece was technological. If you remember in the early days of the internet wasn't fast enough to stream broadband video. There were only a few things you could do with the internet. One thing we don't talk about that much in crypto is that was true in crypto as well. In the early days of crypto, it wasn't fit for purpose for all global payments. It wasn't fit for purpose for moving a large amount of stocks or bonds. Now it is. Now you can do it at scale, at low cost. So the regulatory is ready, the technology is ready, and that's why we're seeing the adoption go.
Yeah, and I think it's very obvious when you come to Abu Dhabi Finance Week this year that the digital asset players are here. You obviously not necessarily in the hedge fund world, but you've got the Coinbases here, you've got Strategy here, you've got Circle here. So it really does feel like momentum is picking up on both angles. Do you think that next year is going to be a repeat, or do you think we're on the wave of another iteration?
Oh, it's going to be even bigger. So the thing that I think you'll start to see next year is not only will those crypto native firms be here talking about crypto, but the largest financial firms in the world will also be incorporating crypto into how they do business as usual. So the largest banks, the largest brokerages, they will be here, and stablecoins and tokenization and crypto will be at the forefront of their discussion. That's the place we are in this journey, where it's going from just starting with the crypto industry to crypto really being finance. And again, I'll make an analogy to the internet. In the early days of the internet, we talked about .com companies. Now every company is a .com company. We've been through this phase where we talk about crypto companies. Soon, every financial company is going to have crypto as the underpinning, because again, it's just a faster, cheaper, more global, 24/7, future-proofed way to move financial assets around the world. I do think it's the future of how finance works.
Fantastic. And maybe thinking about sort of the final side of things, what sort of challenges do you think are still there to be tackled?
Yeah, I think the biggest is still regulation. We still need the regulatory framework globally to cure. Again, the UAE has been a leader there in a rational format, very forward thinking. And I think it's providing that leadership. We need that on a global basis. And then the second is just education. It takes people a long time to learn. I'll share a statistic from Bitwise. The average client of ours invests after about 8 meetings. If you think about that, you think about a financial firm, they maybe do meetings on a quarterly basis. So someone who's just learning about crypto now, they're going to come in a few years. So one is just the passage of time. 2 is continued regulatory progress. But this thing has an inevitability, right? Just today, I can move money faster on crypto than I can in the largest banks in the world. That's incredible. They have 100,000 employees. Ethereum has 0. I can move money faster on Ethereum or Solana than I can through the largest banks. It does have an inevitability, but we need continued regulatory progress. We need continued education and continued passage of time.
Absolutely. And I guess, technology is no longer the boundary. As you sort of said, it's now humans that are the boundary. We can't go too far into a conversation without talking about AI. How's AI going to amplify that and accelerate that process?
Yeah, I think people dramatically underestimate that. I mean, ask yourself, if you're an AI agent, would you rather have a bank account or a stablecoin account? An AI agent can't walk down the street and shake a banker's hand, sign on the dotted line, and make payments through traditional banks, but it can easily, push button easily, use stablecoins. So I think when we move into this agentic world, that's going to be powered by crypto. And I also think the thing people miss there is it's going to make the entire ecosystem much bigger. AI works 24/7, 365. AI works global. It doesn't sleep. It can do transactions that are much smaller than we do today. So even just the scale of transactional activity, the scale of stock trading is going to be much bigger. I don't see a world where the AI future from a financial perspective isn't built on stablecoin and tokenization and crypto rails. I think that's just an inevitability. So these are 2 trends that are mutually reinforcing and pushing themselves upwards.
Fantastic. And then final question, obviously Abu Dhabi Finance Week, we're here today. What's your thoughts about the show and the location?
The location is gorgeous. The weather is gorgeous. The show is fantastic. All the right people are here. It's a very future forward oriented community thinking about where finance evolves. I've loved my time here so far, and I can't wait for the rest of the week.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me on the FinTech Times.
Thanks for having me.